Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and to the fourth zodiac sign video that I've made. This one will be covering the zodiac sign of Cancer, which it's the fourth one I've made and it's the fourth sign of the zodiac that occurs since the start of the astrological year with Aries. Cancer is symbolised by the crab, which, as we all know, is a semi-water dwelling crustacean. It's an animal that has very much a hard external shell with a soft interior, and it also has the potential to have a bit of a feisty side because of its pincers or claws. And often when you look at the zodiac signs, you can tell a lot about that sign just from what it's symbolised by. So some signs are symbolised by different animals, as with Cancer it's the crab, with Aries it's the ram. And if you think about the qualities of those animals itself, it can already give you quite a good insight into what the zodiac sign is about just from thinking about the qualities of that animal. So when we think about the crab, we might be aware that Cancerians can put up a tough exterior, but that they're very sensitive on the inside, and they might be protective over their sensitivities and may ward people away, perhaps with aggression, or as I said, a feisty side with a little bit of a clawing. So this is a very good example of a zodiac sign that I feel is pretty well roundedly represented by its symbol of the crab. So because my last video was on the summer solstice, it is safe to assume that the sun enters the sign of Cancer right after the summer solstice, and that's why I'm doing this video now. So that is where Cancer is in terms of its placement on the wheel of the year, right on or after the summer solstice or Letha. And again, we can infer a lot about the sign of Cancer just from that placement of where it is on the wheel of the year. As I said in my last video about the summer solstice and Letha, which I would highly recommend watching by the way, Letha or the summer solstice can also be strongly associated with water, as this is the time of year where we're at the height of summer, the sun is very much at its strongest and hottest, and so water becomes really the most essential resource to life at this point. So as we have the sun entering the zodiac sign, the water sign of Cancer, it's very important to think about that, and the fact that Cancer as a sign really represents the relief that comes with the nourishment and nurturing qualities of water right at the height of summer when all of life needs it the most. Almost like a hot, soothing summer bath kind of vibe. That is very much how I like to think of Cancer. But also, as of course this time of year can be very hot, there's that dualistic side to Cancer as well, where rather than being the nice soothing bath you can expect it to be, it could potentially turn into a bit of a boiling pot of volatile emotions if the water gets too overheated and too fired up, I suppose. So we've got Cancer as the water sign, very much linked and at home with their emotions, that can be either a beautiful soothing relief to all who encounter this sign, or they can be a little bit scary and fiery, and as I said, boiling hot, depending on whether the person who is born under this sign is perhaps more nurturing in their approach or more aggressive in their approach. So it does depend a little bit on the person with this sign. A bit like the sign of Gemini, Cancer does have that kind of dualistic nature to them, I suppose. So as I've said a few times, the sign of Cancer is a water sign, meaning that they are governed very much by their heart and their emotions. If it helps you to remember about what water signs represent astrologically, or if you need help remembering the suits and tarot, I suppose it could work either way. You can think about the fact that the water sign in the zodiac also correlates to the suit of cups in traditional tarot, that represents water and represents matters of the heart and of emotions. Anytime you pull a card that is in the suit of cups, one of those cups cards, we're talking about an emotional situation in some kind of way. And this can really be viewed as the zodiac signs that are governed by the element of water as well. When the zodiac sign hits, we're very much talking about different sorts of emotions that people can have. So out of the three water signs, which are all fairly emotional in their approach, I would say that Cancer specifically is linked to more familial ties, familial kind of love and protectiveness, and the positive emotions that come from security, or the ambitious, fiery emotions that come from chasing security, chasing stability, for instance, ambition with regards to career. As we said, Cancer falls on the part of the wheel of the year that is right after the summer solstice, meaning that they could have that sort of fiery side as well, as the sun is very much at its height at this point. Out of the three water signs present in the astrological year, Cancer is the one that is of the cardinal quality, meaning that they are self-motivated, insightful, and again could have the capacity to be quite ambitious in certain situations. This is a little bit reminiscent of the first sign of the zodiac that I covered in this video series, Aries, which is also of the cardinal variety of sign. So it might be worth watching that video I did on Aries as well, just to sort of compare and contrast the similarities and differences between these two cardinal signs, but ruled by different elements. It's really fascinating stuff to see how it all links together. But anyway, it might be worth mentioning that the word cardinal is actually derived from the Latin word for important. And this is basically because each of the 4 cardinal signs present in the astrological year each fall on an important turning point of the season that they are present in. So just to give you an example, Aries, Cancer, Libra and Capricorn are the 4 cardinal signs of the zodiac, and they all either fall on or soon after the spring equinox, the summer solstice, the autumn equinox and the winter solstice respectively. All of those sabbats, as we know in paganism, are very key and integral to the year and the way that the seasons develop moving forward through the year. So whenever you have a cardinal sign, as indeed Cancer is, we're talking about a big shift seasonally and a big important moment in the way that the year is progressing and the seasons are shifting. Now, in terms of the archetypical stages of development in a human's life, Cancer can be equated to the ages of roughly 21 to 28, and this is the point in a human's development where they will most likely be seeking to establish their own independent household, seeking to secure stability in their career and perhaps even in starting a family of their own and trying to get things set up and secure and stable for that. So with that in mind, you can see how an individual who does fall under the sign of Cancer would have their priorities be a little bit more on being more reflective on how they can provide that security and stability for themselves, how they can most effectively protect themselves, their family and their loved ones, as well as how they can attain that steady progress towards their goals where their life will be sustainable and able to again nurture and nourish themselves and those they care about. So this is really where, generally speaking, the priorities of Cancerian individuals lie. Cancer is also ruled by the moon, which, as you can imagine, does make them a highly emotional sign, perhaps even more so than the other water signs. Cancer being ruled by the moon specifically, which influences our ocean's tides, meaning that if you are a Cancerian, perhaps witch, Wiccan or pagan, it would really be worth you to be mindful of the moon phases that are happening and time your workings appropriately, because for you in particular as a Cancerian, they are likely to have a very big impact on your well-being at the time, your mental state, and thus could lend power to whatever workings or rituals you're doing at each phase of the moon. If we're talking about what deities could correspond to the sign of Cancer, we are very much talking about moon gods and goddesses. So deities like Selene, Diana and Artemis would be great for people who are Cancerians, who are called or drawn to the idea of deity. Those would be very good ones for you guys to start working with, as your affinity with the moon would probably make connecting with those deities, those divine beings, extra intuitively easy, I suppose, and they could provide you with a lot of support in your life. If we want to relate the sign of Cancer to a particular tarot card from the major arcana, that would probably be the Chariot, as the Chariot is about kind of dualistic, as the Chariot has 2 sphinxes on either side of it, and it does speak to that ambitious side of Cancer that is being driven towards their goals and ambitions in order to secure the ultimate goal, which is providing stability for their family and their loved ones and providing that nurturing, emotionally supportive environment, I suppose. So the Chariot is quite an ambitious card, which of course could relate to the Cancerians' occasionally fiery or aggressive or ambitious impulses, but also it can just be a very positive card about just striving for what your life's purpose is and doing so with grace and integrity, and that could also be what many Cancerians stand for as well. So what crystals should you prioritize and work with as a Cancerian if that is something that you are drawn to? Well, the first one, and perhaps one of the most obvious one, is Moonstone. Moonstone because it helps to balance your moods. As we have established, the moods are greatly impacted by the wateriness of your soul, and the moon influences the water's tides on this planet. So the moon can hold a great and powerful sway over your emotions, and having a moonstone with you can help to balance that out. It also relieves stomach aches, and of course has that strong lunar association just by its name, which is derived from its very moon-like, ethereal, I suppose, appearance. A very beautiful stone for anyone to have, but especially so Cancerians, I would say. Another stone you might want to consider having around you or wearing as jewellery, if you are a Cancerian, pagan, Wiccan or witch, is pearls. So pearls, again, they do look pretty similar to the full moon already anyway, but they also come from the sea, deep inside the sea, and this is a really beautiful thing for a Cancerian who also is associated with the sea and is a water sign. It has both the lunar and water associations, as well as just generally helping to soothe the bad kind of moods that Cancerians may be vulnerable to finding themselves in from time to time, such as loneliness, sadness or depression. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. As I said, a great video for you to check out after this one is the first zodiac sign that I covered, Aries, just to see how the cardinality of Aries differs from the cardinality of Cancer and how they might be the same. You can also check out my previous video on the summer solstice if you have not already done so, as that also gives you some insight into how the personality of Cancer may be influenced by the actual season itself and the Sabbats that are happening around the time that the sun moves into the zodiac sign. So please subscribe, it really helps to support me and the channel. Thank you for all of your support. Please leave a like and comment down below what being a Cancer means to you if you are a Cancerian. So see you in my next video guys, take care.